Part 2, 5ASIDE podcast in Miami. You already know you're joined by the cast, of course, of 5ASIDE. But also, we got another special guest in the house. We got my man, Daryl Dike. How you doing today, Daryl?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, my bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We in Miami right now. Can they see this cast that's on
Hello.
this boy's foot? Oh, my
There
God.
you go, bro.
This guy, I'm thinking,
Get the little shoe game.
It's so easy.
Play with me. Exclusive.
yo,
Bionic boot. Bionic boot.
Come on, now.
man's a
You see
Transformer.
Transformers just came out, bro. Come on.
I saw that shit in the last Black Mirror episode.
God. So it doesn't actually hurt.
No, I mean, like obviously, if I were to go and like stretch it out and do things to make it hurt, like,
Yeah.
it would hurt. But I mean, that's kind of what the boot is for and
the
everything.
viewers, for some context, what is the actual boot for? Like,
And why, yeah.
So I tore my Achilles playing, and so I guess like what the thing is, they want to keep the tension in my Achilles as it heals, because I had surgery about like 5-6 weeks ago, and I guess the boot like keeps my foot down like at an angle to make sure I don't stretch it, and then each week I just kind of increase the angle. There's like you can't really see, but there's like a little thing on the back that like a little key, and I unlock it, and so just naturally do that, and yeah, that's why I got this new high-tech boot.
Damn, bro. But you've torn your Achilles, which we've heard is a crazy injury before. I know that happened to rest in peace, Kobe at some point in his career, and that was like a really tough one. Is that something that's like, when it happened, did it freak you out? Did you think, okay, I've seen this happen to other athletes before, so I know how to deal with it? Or were you like kind of taken back by it?
Like it goes both ways, because the thing is, when it happened on the field, like I immediately knew. I was like, this, because like what happened is like
It's painful.
I was just running, and it just felt like someone just kicked me hard, like as hard as they could, like in my calf, and like I literally in the video, I'm like falling, and people can see like in the video, I like actually turn around because I'm like, who just kicked me?
Yeah.
And then like when I did that myself, and I turned around, nobody was there. I was like, I just did something bad. And then like, but my brother has done the same thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it goes both ways. Like obviously in the back of your head, you're like, like will it be the same? Like blah blah blah. Because obviously everyone talks about it being probably like the injury you don't really want.
Yeah.
But then as you said, like there's Kobe, there's like Kevin Durant just came back.
Yeah.
Even like guys on the national team, Miles just came back, Aaron Long. So I mean, you see people now with like technology and science, it comes back, and I'm young, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm in good hands, so I can't really complain. And I think it'll suck for the time being, but I'll be good. I'll be Gucci.
Absolutely, for sure. And you spoke of players in the national team having similar injury. We're gonna get into your origins, and we asked Zach this, we asked Austin this. What is your origin story with soccer? Like, how did you get started into it? Who got you into it? What led you to this path that you're on right now?
Yeah, it's a funny story actually. So growing up, my parents, I'm the youngest of 5, right?
Yeah.
And so my parents moved from Nigeria and didn't have that much money to like necessarily get me involved in all these things. And my brother, like when my brother was starting to play, my parents didn't want him to play actually, because they just like, we couldn't afford it, we couldn't take you to all these things and stuff like that. And so like basically, I guess my mom like signed my brother up kind of like, and like my dad was not very happy about it. Obviously, it ended up panning out, and he ended up going professional, but my brother's the person who I've always kind of looked up to. He's 12, 13 years older than me, so he's the reason I started playing from a young age. And growing up in Oklahoma, it's not that big either, so that was the thing for me, just watching him and playing in my yard, doing things, playing locally, and then obviously growing up through the ranks.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna ask, like, essentially, what is it like to be that much younger than an older brother and kind of like have to sort of live up to something in a sport? Because like, kind of like as people, we always have to live up to our older siblings, but in a sport where it's like the exact same path, is it a little harder or a little more challenging?
I think for me, I think it was easier, because I mean, he's 13 years older than me, and he has been through everything that I was going to go through. So I kind of had like a little blueprint on what to do, where to go, how to navigate things. Because as I said, I mean, he played in the MLS, he played overseas, so, and that's what I wanted to do from a young age, because I was the little brother who looked up to him and was like, I'm doing that. Literally almost went to the same school as him. I ended up going to the University of Virginia, but I almost went to Notre Dame, like literally just because of him. But yeah, I think it's easier for me having siblings who have played with national teams and at the highest level to be able to be where I am right now.
Yeah. I was gonna say, speaking of UVA, let's hear about the origin story between y'all two. Talk about it, bro. Yeah, we could talk
Y'all
about
go
that.
way back, bro. Come on, Jay.
Back when Mr. DK was rocking Vineyard Vines. Put the photo right there, bro.
Before he had the medium curry dunks and all that, you know what I'm saying? So, little background story on me and Daryl's relationship. Obviously, he came to visit UVA his senior year. He had a lot of offers for schools, came to UVA, went to Notre Dame. So he came into our locker room. They're like, hey, guys, this is Daryl from Oklahoma. I actually knew who his brother was. His brother is Daryl Dike, who most of you guys might not know. Played in MLS for a couple years, played in Russia, also played in Asia as well, played for the Nigerian national team, scored a goal against Italy. So he's kind of downplaying his family a little bit. Even his sister played in the Women's World Cup as well for Nigeria. So Daryl really does come from a really big footballing family. So I kind of knew that, like, I kind of knew of him because, you know, I do my research. I know a bunch of players and everything, and I played at the Toronto FC Academy growing up when his brother Bright was there. So when he came in, you know, it was awesome, actually. Like, he came in the locker room. We were actually playing a really competitive game that day. I think we were playing in Syracuse.
Crazy.
Okay, shout out Upstate. I'm from around there, bro.
Yeah,
They're good at ball. They're good at
time,
ball.
Syracuse had Kamal Miller, Tajon Buchanan.
Oh, that's tough, yeah.
It was the year after, like, Miles Robinson just got drafted. So they had a good little squad, man.
Yeah.
Very competitive game. He came to watch us play. I think we tied that game, like 0-0. We got a red card.
No, it was twos.
Oh, it was 2-2.
Kofi scored a screamer as well.
We actually scored 2 nice goals that game. And then he came to the locker room after, showed him the environment, told him about the team, and then he ended up committing that a couple months later. But unfortunately, at that time, I left UVA that year, and, like, I think one of my biggest regrets was just not being able to play with him, because I think playing on the wing and him playing up top, I think we really would have did something special. So I think that's one of the main things that I, like, not playing now, I'm like, damn, like, I always tell him, like, I wish we got to play with each
That would have
other.
been Vinny and Benzema right there?
Yeah,
bro.
Cooking on the side.
Yeah, come on now. I would have been whipping in some balls too.
Yeah, that's tough, bro.
No, I love that. And so from this point on, like, you guys met a while ago, now transitioning into, you know, your careers evolving, and what is the link up now? What is the relationship like now, and how are you guys kind of moving forward into, obviously, things that are past just the game itself, and how has that been for you?
Yeah, for me, like, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's in every single category. I think there's just on a friend level, right? Obviously, he's my boy. Like, I talk to the dude every day. We play pro clubs every single day, be screaming at each other, doing everything. You know, obviously with injuries, you know, he's someone to talk to. And then of course, when I'm, having opportunities like this to, you know, meet all you guys, come down to Miami, you know, for his show, support him and everything. Because I mean, for how much he supports me, it's literally every part of my life. I can go to Raheem. I can go and talk to him about it, whether it be business, whether it be, you know, friend level and stuff like that. And it's kind of crazy to think that, like you just said, like, we didn't even go to school together. Like, he was showing me the pitch where, as you said, I'm walking around in Sperry's and stuff like that, and dudes over here like, looking like, who is this kid? You know what I mean? And like now, like, I consider him like one of my best friends. You know what I mean? And if that's a relationship that, credit to him. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, bro knows everybody, bro talks to everybody, bro.
The footy rich Paul,
bro,
trademark that shit.
Listen, bro. Like, when he first, I think we got really close when he first got drafted to Orlando City, because I was living in Tampa at the time. He was in Orlando, just coming up as a pro, just going to his game, seeing him in that pro environment for the first time, seeing him develop, and I think a relationship really developed, especially when he first got drafted, because a lot of people don't know this, but when he was at Orlando, he was really supposed to be like the 4th choice striker, 3rd choice. So it was like, how are you gonna adapt to a situation where you go from having such a major year at UVA to potentially getting loaned to like a USL championship team? So just like giving him advice, and like I've played at that level before, not in MLS, but like I've seen the game and seen where people play. So just trying to be there for him as a bro, and then eventually he got his chance, scored against Inter Miami, and really the rest is history, man. And just to see his progression to go from Orlando City to go into West Brom now, and I even went to go visit him in West Brom when he was injured. So it's like, I've seen him at his highs, I've seen him at his lows, and regardless, highs and lows, I'm gonna be there for him. And I'm blessed that he's able to come out here and support the Hyphenate events. He came to my first ever one before Hyphenate even started. I just had like an experiment event. I invited like a couple guys in MLS. Hopefully they'll come through, and like 30 guys from MLS came, and I kind of saw the impact that I have. But most importantly, like he was in the car with me. We were driving up together to Miami, and like he was literally going through negotiations with West Brom in the car while we're on our way up to Miami. So like, not only did that show me like that, like no, that showed me like, yo, this is my brother right here. Man's literally on the phone with his agent coming up to my event. Like usually he could be like, yo, I'm chilling back home. I gotta focus on my move, but nah, supported me from day one. And the relationship has really transcended into now connecting him with, you know, young creators like yourself, like we said when Zach was here, and also most importantly, like helping him find his brand and create his brand and have more an impact on the game and also an impact on the culture of American soccer in general.
Yo, is it difficult? Is it difficult to like trust people now at this point in your career? Because I know that like once you become a pro, it's kind of like finding people like that who you can really be like, I can go to this person with different aspects of my life and not feel like they're going to use it either against me or for some sort of personal gain. Like, is it difficult now moving around? Are you more careful with who you let in to your circle?
Yeah, I think that's like, if anything, probably a problem of mine is like I'm pretty friendly for the most part. Like I let most people into my circle, and I think kind of like you said, like growing up and like now you see a lot of people kind of getting taken advantage. And like I'll admit, I don't have very many friends that I've met in England that aren't footballers as well.
Yeah.
Like most of the guys are my teammates or other guys, because the thing is like, I love to be friendly with people. I'm obviously like someone who's gonna talk to fans and stuff like that all the time, but like, you never know, you know, sometimes, and that's the problem is like some people can, you know, obviously good interest, good heart, but like there's also some that like you can't really necessarily trust or you really want to get too close with. And so that's it. It's a difficult thing. And most of the friends I find are, you know, through friends of friends. Like that's how it is. And then I unfold and then you meet their friends and that's just kind of how it is. In terms of trusting people, it's, I don't know. it's
I feel like
different.
I feel like also there's layers to the relationship. Like you have your close circle, and then you know it starts to kind of slowly back up towards that. So I feel like once you kind of have your friend group you've known for a while, slowly develop that relationship over the last couple of years, you kind of keep them closer, and then as you meet new people, they could gradually come to the circle. But to get to that, you know, that core base, it's like it's gonna be difficult, man. It takes time. So. At the end of the day, everything in life takes time, and you got to see the true intentions of people. And sometimes it's hard to read, but that's why it's also good to have good people around you who could be like, hey, Raheem, like maybe that person, or hey, Daryl, that maybe that person's not in your best interest. Yeah.
That's real, bro, for sure.
We was touching on with Zach and Austin about how like just playing in Europe can be very isolating, as you just mentioned. You know, Florida's a place you made your name, bro. Orlando, you was balling out. How does it feel to be back?
No, it's good, bro. I love it. First and foremost, the weather, bro. Bro, like, I mean, you go from like, not, you know, I enjoy England, but like cold, dark at 4 p.m., rainy, bro, like, versus like here, don't get me wrong, sometimes it'd be a little bit hot outside to where like you don't want to go outside,
It's
but like,
right now, bro.
yeah, like right now, like
It's
it's,
humid.
you don't even need to go outside, bro. You just look outside, you start sweating. But like, but it's, no, I love it, bro. I honestly love it so much. Like, obviously the water, palm trees, everything, like, I mean, it's the living, it's the life that everyone wants.
One thing I wanted to ask too is, because you spoke of being in England, and obviously the weather is very different from over here, but the culture obviously is super different too. I think it's a little bit more like, especially in soccer, like traditional. Like they're all about the game and nothing else aside from that, especially when they're thinking of the players matters. Like you got to just play and that's it. But you, like, we see you active on social media. Like, I be watching your TikToks and stuff. Like, how does that? How are you perceived, especially being from, you know, the United States and then going to England? We already know how they feel about us, even just saying the word soccer.
Yeah.
And then you're on socials, like doing videos or whatever, to having fun. So, do you ever get criticized for that?
Nah, I think, believe it or not, I actually think a lot of people enjoy that part about me. Because everyone in England, I think a lot of players are kind of wired to be like, all right, you're just gonna go there, play, do your job, you go home, you don't party, like blah blah. You see all the stuff with Grealish now, like everyone's like freaking out about Grealish partying and stuff like that. But it's like, bro, we're all like normal people, and I think that's something I try to do on social media is like show my authentic self, and show like I have like you know more than just going out there and playing footy. Which don't get me wrong, obviously it's a big part of me. But, you know, there's other things like you're talking about fashion. I like TikTok, video games, random jokes, you know. And that's what I like to show, which I think is something that happens, like kudos to American sports, like just basketball, you're starting to see it a lot more in the MLS. guys have personalities. Guys have a lot more personalities, and I'm not trying to, like, obviously people in England do as well, but I think that's one thing that Americans do so much better, in my opinion, is that they try. The players are more than just playing. Sometimes over there, it's like you're a footballer. That's what your job is.
How do you feel about that overall movement of players being more than just athletes? Because you're seeing how guys like Tim Way is expanding super into fashion, Rafa Leao doing that as well, but also rapping. Like, what's your view on the overall movement of players being more than athletes?
Bro, I love that because I mean, you look at how much time you waste, not waste, but how many time you play soccer, right? You really don't play that much. Like you go in the morning, you have like, let's say you train at like 8. You could be home by like 1, 2, 3, and then you have the rest of the day to do what you need. And especially with all these guys that come from, you know, different countries, different places, don't have families around them, you got to find something to entertain yourself. Like you're not just going to sit there staring at a blank wall, and there's only so much Netflix you can watch. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, it's great to see other people, you know, branching out into different things, and even as a fan, being able to see, you know, guys have their own, like, their personal life and what they are outside of the, you know, the game.
I know you mentioned gaming a bit. Are you streaming?
Bro, I want to stream.
Okay.
I want to stream so bad.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll admit about streaming is, you know, sometimes, you know, in the chats, you know, some things get said in the chats that I'm like,
Big ER, bro.
Especially pro clubs, bro. Pro clubs, Warzone, anytime, bro.
I was about to ask, who the better FIFA player right here?
It's me.
Okay.
Don't even say that.
We're gonna have to run this back on camera. We're gonna have to run this back on camera.
Listen, bro. We played it like the beginning of the FIFA 23 with all the bugs. They didn't have the bugs out yet, so we gotta run it back now. See what's up. Yo, tell it. The game was mad glitchy. Look, I was in Birmingham in September. The game dropped in September. So when we was playing, I'm like, bro, like I'm not adjusted yet. So like, you know what I'm saying?
Bro, you get the excuses this man.
So no one talks. No one talks about the glitches and the bugs at the beginning, but now the game developed.
I feel you though.
We gotta run it.
Now, low key, I feel you though.
Yeah, you know,
I was just telling you, bro, this is.
come on.
I get it.
Game be buggy, you know, Mbappe just running through 3 people, like, bro, like, come on, bro, yeah.
When you play pro clubs, do y'all play your actual positions in real life?
Nah, bro. My boy's Richie Rich. He's a center mid, bro.
I like it. Yeah, Richie Rich is crazy, bro.
And then I got a left wing build based off of Vinicius Jr., but I call him Delicious Jr.
Hey, I like that. Go on, bro.
He got the crazy hair.
Look, 750 games, 695 goals.
That's right.
600?
I be going crazy, bro. I know my stats. I could go on my game right now.
Put down your
take a
business
pic.
card, bro.
Yeah. Like, we be locked in.
IG bio, bro.
I bet he knows the exact amount of games and goals.
Like, I'm real about my stats, bro. I'm CR7 when it comes to my stats. Like, you can't play
looking
with
at
me.
the shit. You gotta play sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I believe him about the bugs because that was so specific.
Yeah,
Like I know he cares.
So you know I know about my FIFA.
Well, he was calling up the EA developers like, y'all gotta fix the software, man. Like, y'all playing with me right now. Damn.
Yo, is that okay? So you talk about the streaming, we talk about TikTok. Are you already thinking of like things that maybe you can try to set up for yourself after you finish playing? Again, still early on in your career, or is that something that you're kind of just focused on the game right now? Like, what's your mentality on anything outside of soccer for the future?
Yeah, for the future, especially being a young age, I always told myself that I want to set up nice and early.
Yeah.
And like I have a finance degree, but like in all honesty, I don't really know what I want to do with that.
Yeah.
But I see jobs that I do, and I love soccer so much. Yeah. So whether it just be involved, whether it be someone like, I don't know, like you see like Michael Richards and Thierry Henry and stuff,
Yeah.
bro, I would love to do something like that.
I
Bro.
honestly think he would kill it.
I can see it, bro. I can actually see
I would
it.
love doing something like that. But
Yeah.
But even for me, like right now, as you said, like maybe getting up like my TikTok, everything, you know, more following to where I can have opportunities like that, so people can kind of, you know, have the credibility and things like that. But in terms of that, I just I don't know, I just be chilling. I don't really know exactly, because my thing is, which is a problem, is I don't know how to start. I don't know how to start.
Let's start here.
Let's
Let's set it up right now.
Yeah.
We'll treat you as if you're kind of on TV as a host. We'll work through that. Why not?
Yeah,
you down?
All right, let's go.
And I'm seeing more current players come on and make cameos and do their analysis than before as well, as a way of stepping into it. So, you know what I'm saying? So once they retire, then they're actually like full time with it.
So you know what? To expand on that then, like if you were, let's say this is your show,
All right.
and you have, you know, like what's your position like? niche or what character you think like you would be as a on-air personality? Like how would you go about it?
I mean, it's me. I'm goofy. Like I want people to feel comfortable. Like you guys are doing to me. I want people to feel comfortable. I want people to feel that they can come up to me and talk about literally whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's the thing that I enjoy is I enjoy seeing people who are authentic. I enjoy seeing people who act exactly how they would in a closed door when they're on camera. No matter what, they're the same person. And I feel like as someone who's more in the public eye, when you're talking to some people, sometimes you're scared. You want to just sit there and you want to answer their questions, and you're thinking too hard about, I can't say this, I can't say that, which obviously, like within reason, yes, you can't say some things, but that's what I want to do. I want to make people feel comfortable, and I enjoy talking to people. And so just being able to connect with so many people and talk to so many people is what I want to do. And I think that'd just be a fun thing while being around footy. I love talking footy. Yeah.
So when you guys are, I guess, you guys have both played in academies professionally, like you guys have been in soccer. Speaking of making people comfortable, like what groups, like what nationalities, what types of guys are you guys like most comfortable with when you get to a new club? Like who are the people that you feel like embrace you the most?
For me, I mean, every club that I've been, I'm always with the Africans and the Caribbeans. Like we all just mesh. You know what I mean? Those are all in Orlando. There were tons and tons of Latinos. Tons of people, like Brazilian speakers as well. Brazilian speakers, Portuguese speakers, Brazilian players, Portuguese speakers, and then everyone spoke Spanish as well. So it was always good to like vibe with them because I enjoy like their culture and stuff like that, their music. Like the
Got the sound effects ready.
Music I heard, bro. But hang with them, and then obviously I go to West Brom. Like majority of my like my better friends, they're the Africans on the team, Caribbeans, people with that kind of background. Just because I think naturally you're drawn towards people who are kind of like you, and so. Those are usually the people I'd be vibing with, though. Obviously, I can vibe with anybody, but.
How's the food over there? The African and the Caribbean food.
Oh, there's a place over there called Mellows. I was trying to take Raheem there, but bro, it is the best. I'm telling you, I think it's my favorite restaurant there.
What kind of food is it?
Like it's Caribbean food. Bro, I get this oxtail there. Oh my goodness, bro, it goes crazy.
Have you found like a good Nigerian spot?
No.
Damn.
Literally,
you gotta go to London, bro.
You gotta
go to London for that.
The thing about the UK, you got people from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's so diverse, so you can find a little bit of everything. So if you're looking for Jamaican spots, Birmingham is full of Jamaicans. Other than London, I think Birmingham has the most Jamaicans out of anywhere in the UK. So it's honestly, it feels like right at home sometimes. Like you go to a local restaurant, he took me to a couple of spots. So
we gotta find my man some Nigerian food.
We gotta find bros.
You can start the restaurant, bro. Like in Ted Lasso, bro.
Call it DK's.
Hey, I'm eating there if I'm in Westbrook, bro.
DK's authentic.
Yo, to that point too, because you spoke of you saying how diverse the UK is, but also we know that within that diversity, there's people who don't embrace that. There's people who, like we've seen in the during matches, how they treat certain players, especially black players. We've seen outside of the UK also, just overall in Europe, we see what happened with Vinny. Is that something that you've dealt with before, like from fans or anyone who actually, like within the football realm, where you felt like, my blackness is kind of makes this person feel a negative way towards me and they treat you like that?
I think that's something, luckily I've been pretty fortunate for. I think in Orlando, fans, players, everyone's very inclusive. Yeah. And then even when I went to England, it's the same thing. I think everyone's very inclusive. Like, obviously, like as I said, you're gonna, when you go into a changing room, like, nobody's racist. People aren't really necessarily racist in that regard, but like the black guys hang out with the black guys. The white guys usually hang out with the white guys. Like the Brazilians hang out with the Brazilians, and stuff like that. That's just kind of what ends up happening. Not saying you don't intermingle and stuff like that, but generally that's what happens. But in terms of being on the pitch, like, I mean, I've been blessed with good fans, I've been blessed with people around me. Obviously, I'm not gonna lie, there's probably some comment in my DMs or somewhere where someone said something. But
I would say online, because that's where a lot of racial abuse happens, especially like the England players after they missed those penalties. A lot of it was online, but good to hear that you're not going through that.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah,
that's something I had to learn though, to not go through a lot of those things.
Yeah, makes sense.
To bring up a point about that though, what I find very interesting is like being in the stands when he plays. A lot of fans tend to compliment like his physicality, and we talk about that all the time about the black player. They always comment about our physicality, our speed, power, pace and power. So when they describe him, whether they describe him as big, athletic, fast, strong, and I'm like, okay, what about he's nimble on his feet for his size? They talk about his hold up play, talk about some other factors of the game that making runs in behind, all that sort of stuff. So I think it's not more of like racism directly to him. It's more of the common nuances that we see when they talk about the black player in Europe. And I hear that all the time. I hear, oh yeah, he's the big striker. Like, and I'm just like, he actually offers way more on the pitch than that. If you're actually a fan of the football and know what he's doing on the pitch, it's more than just size and speed. If it was just size and speed, just put an NFL player up top. He wouldn't do what he'd be doing, right? So it's that's what I more see of when it comes to him. It's more of just like people talking about those attributes that his physical attributes. It's God given. He's blessed with that. But Daryl's more than that.
Yeah. Powerful, bro.
Yeah. That's something. Sorry, go ahead. No, that's something I actually forgot about, because even as a player, like, that's something that I am big and fast. Like, I'm not gonna go and tell people that they're wrong for telling me I'm big and fast, but I've been trying to do things that make me, people don't want to just look at me and be like, he's just big and fast.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, I like to think I offer a lot more than just being big and fast. Hold up, some technique, and I think one thing is growing my brain. Doing things. Whether it be, like you said, runs. Everything, movements, and that's just something I've been trying to grow in, which it gives you the question where it's like, would they still say that if you're white? I'm not gonna lie, like,
it's real.
Literally, yes.
It's like, would they still say it? Because
there's statistics on that too.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, would they still say it? Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna go and point fingers and accuse people, but like,
we know.
Like, come on, bro.
We know.
Like,
the jig is up.
They not saying the same thing about like that striker from Brighton who's coming up, who's Irish, who has probably similar traits, right? But they're gonna explain his style of play in a completely different way. Or like if you compare him to like Armando Broja from Chelsea, who's also a big, fast striker, but they're gonna say other attributes about his game that don't attribute to just his physicality, right?
Even Holland, they talk about his runs. They talk about he's a poacher. He's this, he's that.
Striker's mentality.
Like, why can't we use that word
nose for goal, all that
for young
kind of
black strikers who are making a name for themselves? It's always just the physical stuff.
Yeah.
One thing we were highlighting through like this discussion also is the different things that go into being a proper number 9.
Yeah.
We offer a lot. Ask the other guys. I want to ask you your 5 ballers who inspired you when you first started playing footy. Were they also strikers as well?
Yeah, most of them actually. My brother, I'll be boring. He's a striker.
Yeah, makes sense.
So obviously looked up to him.
Same position,
Yeah, Drogba.
Okay.
Chelsea fan from day one, so that's the boy.
That's my hero. That's my hero.
That's the boy.
Don't get him started, please.
Right here.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't play like him, but Messi. I mean, like, obviously you watch everything that he does, and it's just like, it's just magic. You watch him and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
And then, as obviously now it's great that I'm a part of it, but growing up watching the game, Josie Altidore is someone I looked up to, and I was like, man,
Big
like,
Haitian.
I want to be like,
Big
Yo,
he's a trailblazer.
I like you, bro. I like you.
So I'm sitting there looking at him, and then, I mean, those are the ones off the top, man. I can't really think of.
That's all good.
Yeah, that's a good one as well, for sure.
Earlier we were talking about, again, how you want to, like, we see how black players are perceived in the attributes, that's always used to describe them. And you say you want to be known for more than that. When it's all said and done, what, as a player, as a footballer, what do you want to be recognized as? Like, what do you want to, at the end of your career, look back and say, I am known for this?
That's a good question. For me, I want people to look at me and be like, he's more than just a player.
Mm-hmm.
I like, as you were talking about earlier, I want to do things outside of just playing soccer. I want to help people out. I want to help the sport grow in Oklahoma. I want to do a whole bunch of things. I have all these ideas I want to do. And other than that, like, just interacting with fans. I always do that stuff with West Brom and, helping interact with fans. Probably like, every other week or something like that, we're doing something. And on social media, I always like to reach out, like to talk to people, like to give people insight of what it's like in my life or what it's around in the professional level. And that's kind of one thing I want to do is people be like, he's a great guy. Like, I want people to look at me and be like, man, I really wish we had more players like him, not even just on the, the playing level. Obviously, I want to be known for being good as well, but like knowing like he's a player that I want my team to get. I want players like him.
No, absolutely. And is that something that you kind of, how difficult is it to not think about? Because you have to, as an athlete, you have to be focused. You have to be competitive. You have to kind of be extremely present in the moment. And they told you about this tunnel vision and just kind of just stay locked in, put your head down and run. But how do you balance that, trying to be the highest performing athlete that you could possibly be, but also, you know, look towards another life or another, you know, other avenues beyond that?
Yeah, for me, I think and I think a lot of us like professional players have to do is I kind of have a switch.
Yeah.
You know, once I wake up in the morning, it's 8, it's grind time, I'm doing this, I'm going to the gym before, I'm, you know, eating correctly. Obviously, I'm always going to be eating correctly, and then once it hits like 2, 3 or something like that, I try and sometimes, you know, not get my head wrapped around it. Because I think that's one thing as a player is if you sit there and think too much about everything, you're just going to get consumed by it, which is just honestly not healthy for you. It's not good for you. And then you just are only a soccer player. You're only a player and that's about it. So outside of that, there's, you know, other things to distract you. I like to watch soccer as well. So like I do that.
Yeah.
I play video games a lot. I'll talk to my friends, I'll talk to family, make TikToks, do random things on social media. But it's having that disconnect and that you can't just constantly be thinking, okay, like what can I do, what can I do, what can I do? Because that's just going to eat you alive. I'm sorry.
Who is somebody who you feel like right now helps you, again, to be in that disconnect? We know Raheem is a good friend of yours, but how is your support system in terms of, you know, just when you need to just get away completely from it? Because, you know, we spoke about mental health earlier too. Sometimes you just got to disconnect. Is there anyone in particular that you can go to that can make you feel like, okay, I can just be the human instead of the footballer right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 people, you know, or not 2 people, but 2 groups that I kind of go to. It's, you know, it's our pro clubs group chat. I'm not gonna lie, like we've all created such like a good relationship just outside of playing that we talk about literally everything. Like majority of the time, like our group chat doesn't even talk about anything about video games. We just talk about random things. You know, some dudes like, you know, talk about his girl, something, you know, random things. We're all like there for each other.
Friend stuff, yeah.
No, you know, friend stuff, and that's good. You know, even here, like a lot of us are going to come down for, you know, to support Raheem for the show. And then another thing is, I mean, it's my family. I think they're every single day. I bet you throughout I've been through this room, they probably had some family FaceTime. They literally are always, you know, blowing up my phone, blowing up each other, and so everyone's just trying so hard to, you know, always get something off their chest. You know, having that support system around you is important because in the grand scheme of things, if you try and keep all those things, your thoughts and everything in your mind is going to eat you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also how crazy, like how all these these relationships develop through football. Like our whole friendship, like our whole friend group, we either played with each other, like at some point, like whether it's high school soccer, college soccer, or whatever, like we all played with each other, amongst each other. So it's like, it's just crazy how the game of football could really just build your relationships, your network, and like your close friends, man. And that's why we love the beautiful game. Yeah. That's why we do what we do. Like,
Us 5, I mean, it's all football, bro.
Exactly,
At the end of the
bro.
day, like, that's what brought it together.
Yeah.
First time I met you was talking about Euro 2016 at Cornell in the summertime, like, Ronaldo hat trick and all that shit. So.
Somebody the other day was literally just asking me that, like, how did you get into soccer? Like, why do you care about it enough to have a podcast? Like, I told her about the podcast. She was like, wow, you must really like soccer.
Yeah.
it's like damn. It's like damn. Like, is it bad that I like it?
But what I tried to explain to her was like, yo, like, this is one of the greatest like connectors.
Yeah.
Like, I'll meet somebody from Bangladesh on like a Friday evening at a bar, and like I have a Chelsea shirt on, and he's like, oh, I like Chelsea too. And then now we're having a whole conversation about his childhood and how he got into the sport and like where he was when he saw, you know, the Champions League final and this, that, and the third. And it's like, people don't necessarily understand, like, it's much more than a sport, and we say that all the time, but it's really a way for people to just connect and get to know each other and build.
And as the world's biggest sport that has, maybe 3 to 4 billion fans legitimately, it might be the biggest cultural force in the world to connect people, regardless of anything, bro. I honestly can't think of any comparison. Because even with music, I can't think of a single genre that connects that many people. But footy as a sport, bro, literally billions are connected through it. So.
Football is its own language in a sense too.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to see. One thing I'm very excited for is the 2026 World Cup to come to the US.
Come on.
Listen,
That's a landmark moment, bro. And Copa America next summer is the warm up too.
And the Club World Cup now.
And the Club World Cup.
Clap.
Yeah.
So I have a question. We were talking about family. We were talking about like how football is connecting and stuff. National team wise, though, I do have a tough question for you.
Go ahead.
I think you know what I'm about to ask.
Maybe.
There's a lot of tough questions.
The build-up was crazy.
In terms of having your family members having represented Nigeria before, and then you representing the U.S., family-wise, connector-wise, the beautiful game, being something that makes people come together. It can also be something that makes people come apart for reasons like that. So what was that like for you, like personally, with your friends, with people at home? Like, tell us, like, from the perspective of a professional player that had to choose between two very prideful nations, what was that like for you?
Yeah, for me, I mean, from a young age, I'd always told myself I want to represent a national team. I want to play in the World Cup. I think that's every single player's dream, is to play in a World Cup. And, you know, as Raheem said earlier, my brother and my sister both played for Nigeria. And, you know, growing up, I found myself watching more of USA. I found myself, you know, being more involved with American soccer rather than, you know, I still, of course, would watch Nigeria. I'm not going to go and say that. I'm still a super fan every single time I'm watching them play. But that was just kind of it. And then when I got the opportunity, the first team that, you know, come forward was USA. So when they came, I was like, you know, this is my dream. I'm ready to do this. And so you get excited about it. And yeah, that's kind of how it is. And, you know, obviously talking with my family and stuff like that, they were talking about like, okay, you know, like once you play, you know, you can't switch, you can't do this or whatever. And I was like, I don't want to switch. Like, I want to go and make a name for myself for the national team. I want to be the superstar. And, you know, with it growing so much right now, and at my age, and, you know, having that possibility to be, you know, one of those, you know, people driving the organization and soccer in the country, that's something that I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be part of this.
And you were able to win the Gold Cup, right? As part of the team. So what was that moment like, bro? That must be one of the biggest achievements of your career, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think professionally, that's the only thing I've won.
Oh, really? First trophy? Yeah. That's an incredible trophy, though, bro. You're a young player,
incredible
too.
Incredible trophy, bro. Yeah, no, that was the most fun time. Biggest, what was it, like 60-something thousand, 70,000 or something like that? It was in Vegas as well. Yeah. And, bro, it was, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And, you know, being able to compete, because we played Mexico, being able to compete like on a big stage like that is something, it's what you dream for, bro. Yeah. It was incredible. And, you know, winning that, seeing all the fans, the big celebrations after, we went to some club after and stuff like that.
You can say we're in Miami, we know the vibes. We say that. We know the vibes.
I remember that. Bro, it was the most ridiculous thing ever. I remember we go in, bro, because like, whatever. So basically,
go ahead, bro. Tell the story, bro.
We went there and like everyone was we were all under the impression like, oh, like, because like Becky G was like planning something for us. She was like, oh, like we'll go and, you know, I'll have some friends like set up a whole bunch of things. And we're like, okay, like cool, like we're just gonna have like a bar or something like that, or like some club like on a table. Bro, we go in, like screens USA all over, like there's like a whole bunch of girls like waving American flags. And I'm
Becky G came through. I don't know.
I think he's just getting a table. Yeah. And so we go there, there's like a huge stage. I forgot what club we went to, but there was a stage. We all went on stage with the trophy. They were like playing music and stuff like that, going crazy. Bro, I remember it was ridiculous. And then like, I forgot, we went some like random, it was so much fun. Like, staff was there, everybody was there, and it was so much fun. Like it was incredible. I remember going the next, bro. Even the next morning we were going, my flight was at like 8 a.m. Didn't end up leaving the place till like 7:30, so I had to get a new flight. I respect it, bro. I had to get a new, there was light outside, I was like, But no, bro, that was just, it was the greatest thing ever. It was the greatest feeling to you know, be able to win, to do that, and then, you know, celebrate with all the guys. It's, you know, it's what you look forward to.
You know, speaking of ridiculous celebrations, and I'm not too mad at it, I'm not gonna lie, but obviously we know Man City just won the treble.
Of course.
And we've seen how players like Jack Grealish, you know, have been just running wild with the celebrations. And this is kind of a question for all of us here. Like, how do y'all feel about those antics after you win something to that magnitude? Because for me, I think it's like, if you win a treble or any sort of trophy period, like we know how hard it is to get to that point and to win something significant. So if, like, however way you want to celebrate, if you're not hurting anybody, to me it's like, bro, go ahead, like, be like do what you gotta
He's saying
do.
within reason.
Like, if you're not hurting nobody, do your thing. But I feel like he's getting a lot of criticism for it, and I'm not understanding like what people want. Yeah, you want.
I think he's getting love this time around.
I'm seeing both.
You see both. You see people. Some people are like, he's overdoing it, and then other people are like, oh no, like let him do his thing. You know what I mean?
One of the things you highlighted though is the fact that the trophy is not won in the final. It's from off season when people are grinding.
Yes, exactly.
It's your whole life in the moment.
It's a different type of feeling of relief.
Exactly.
And having the trophy in the cup, I never seen that before. That was
bro, it was nuts. It was so much fun.
In a treble though, that's 3, bro. First time ever, I'm going crazy and do whatever I want.
No, 100%.
Within reason.
You look at someone like Jack Grealish, bro. Like I mean, he's even said it in interviews himself, bro. He was, you're like 4 years old watching everything, watching all these teams celebrate and do these things. You're working so hard so you can be in that moment. And like, obviously, I'm not gonna go and say he's done it, he's won everything, like blah, blah, but like, when you win a treble, like, bro, you're on top of the world. Like, what, you got a World Cup and a Ballon d'Or. That's all you need. Bro. That's like all you need. Actually, you know what I mean? But like, how do you do that? Like, bro, he won the Prem, won everything. Like, bro, celebrate. Yeah, all your grinding and stuff like that has built in just for this moment. You can let yourself have a few days or whatever he did to like have fun, bro.
I agree. I completely agree.
We're also looking at like right now in the NBA, it's trades. Like trades are happening, right? People are moving from city to city, and they aren't being told, like. They're just finding out on TV. Like that is how NBA trades work. Like people are literally finding out that they have to move to DC, like from the TV that they're watching. How does that really connect to the way that soccer moves and how you get transferred and clubs move you around? And what has that been like? Because at the end of the day, people are criticizing Jack Grealish as a player because he's not respecting the game and he's not taking it seriously and he's not taking his club seriously. But then when we look at transfers, you can get moved like that and no one bats an eye. So how do you feel about the way that players are kind of just like moved from place to place with little to no regard for how they are as humans, I guess?
Yeah, it's hard. So I think it's a little bit different. In the MLS, like that happens a little bit more, where people just get transferred to something like that, and they're like, oh, like you're gonna go here, and you're like, wait, do I not have a say as much? I think when you go to Europe, you probably have like a little bit more of a say, which is a little bit easier. But even then, like there's sometimes where it's like a club will, persuade you to leave a club, basically telling you like, bro, you got to get out of here. Like, I mean, you're taking outside or you're doing something and stuff like that, which is like hard because it's like, okay, what, am I just an asset to you? Like I'm a human. I have, some people have families, I've established a life here, a living here, but you just want to like kind of shift me to, some other team who's just paying some transfer fee or this or that. But now it's just hard. It is hard, I'm not gonna lie.
Have you had friends affected by it, like teammates that like went through some tough times because of that?
Yeah, I mean, even my brother, when, not to say anything like bad about Toronto, but he loved Portland. He was at Portland Timbers, and then it was like everything was going well for him. He was loving it so much, and then there was like one day after a game, I'm pretty sure it was like after they played Toronto, he found out that he was getting transferred to Toronto, and he was like, huh? Like, I was just, finding my feet, like I was enjoying it here and stuff like that, and like that's like literally how he found out. And then obviously had to pack his bags and everything and move over, and it was hard for him. It was a hard time for him, and that's something that's very, very difficult for him, especially having, landing there because he got cut from Columbus Crew before. So like, it's a hard life. So when you finally find a place where you're happy, you don't want to leave.
And a lot of people don't always talk about the aspect of like, people always talk about player loyalty, being loyal to the club, right? Staying years, all that. But when the club is doing it to the player, doing them dirty, like me and Daryl could attest, there's some stories I've heard of clubs putting guys with the U21s for the whole year, not getting a changing room for the year, just to force them out the club. So a lot of people talk about, oh, you got to be a loyal player, loyal to the club. What happens when the club treats you as a business? Like you said, like Daryl was saying, at the end of the day, some guys on the team are just numbers, bro. And it's unfortunate situations because these guys are human at the end of the day, and they need to be treated as such. But some guys get treated like cargo, bro. Like, it's like if you're not they don't want you in the club and you say you're going to stay. All right, collect your salary. We're going to put you with the U21s, and you're not even going to be around the team. And bro, those are depressing times, man. You could be trapped for 6 months. You could be trapped for a year in a situation like that. What do you do? What you're not even training with the team at that point. You don't even feel like you're a part of the club at that point. So it's like, it's really tough.
Word. And I was going to say, too, you're talking about some of the struggles that your brother went through. A big part of this event and everything we're having going on here is about mental health. But if you're comfortable talking about some of the struggles that maybe you have faced, whether that was in MLS, college, going abroad, just curious what sort of things you've had to overcome in your career so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's the obvious one.
Right, the big move,
It's right now. I mean, when I moved, because I moved to West Brom, beginning of January of last year, and obviously, like, it was a dream of mine to play in England, but one thing is like, okay, if I do this, I play well, everything is a World Cup year. And I was like, I can do this, I can play in the World Cup. Get injured my second game there, out for like basically the rest of the season. Work out through a whole summer. After our second game, do my quad, out for another 3 months. And I'm sitting there like, bro, what do I do? Like, because after that, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I've tried everything. I eat healthy, I've lost weight, I, you know, do more in the gym, I do this, like, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, what? Like, I'm doing everything and it's not working. When I started seeing like an osteopath, doing all these other things to just kind of keep my body healthy, came back, you know, worked up, did everything, and I was super happy. Like, you can ask me, I was talking to people like that like 5 month or 6 month span was the happiest I'd been in England. I was playing consistently, I was healthy, because for me, I just want to play, bro. Like, I just want to play, and that's like something I've been working my entire life for. And then things are going well, started getting back into the national team, and then I tear my Achilles. And it's funny because like people will go and like talk about the picture, because there's like one specific picture and I'm like crying on the pitch, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's sitting there like talking like, oh, I bet you it hurt that bad. This didn't really hurt that bad.
Yeah.
It was more surprising. It was more like I immediately knew on the pitch, I was like, no, not again, not again, not again, not again, not again. And to the point, like, you know, I go home, like, obviously I cried on the pitch. I cried for like every day for like a week or something like that, you know? And it's hard because it's hard because that's such a big part of your life. I'm constantly reminded, like, okay, if I take my shower, I have to go get my crutches. I have a chair that I have to sit down in the shower when I take showers. But for me, I'm someone who, like, for my mental stability, I, you know, find happiness through connections with people. I love talking to people. I love kind of distracting myself by, you know, being around people. And that's something that's helped me so much throughout this time. I mean, even then, like, I'll FaceTime my family. I've done before, like, when I like talking to them, obviously they can't see, but like when I'm in the shower or something like that, just talking to them or anything, just because I enjoy talking to people. I play Xbox. I've been going like back to Oklahoma. I went to New York. Now I'm here to go just talk to people, because that's, for me, that's where I find a lot of my happiness. Obviously, it's good to find your happiness in yourself, but for me, it's the connections I build with people, and talking to people is something that's helped my mental health so much and helping me kind of distract. And then also, like, I mean, in terms of this, I know I'm gonna come back. You know, I'm young. I know I have a good support group around me. And I know right now it sucks. Like, I'm not gonna go and, like, people can go and be like, oh, like, it's a learning lesson and stuff like that, which, like, yeah, it is, but like, I don't want this to happen. Nobody wants this to happen so you can learn a lesson. You know what I mean?
So you were speaking earlier about you being an analyst and like trying to like grow that like media personality a little bit. So I'm kind of lob you a question.
Go ahead.
So for example, right now we're looking at Juventus, for example. Pogba's been injured a while. He's kind of like come back to Juventus. He's gotten hurt, and the fans right now are criticizing him a lot because he's been injured and can't stay healthy. Like, that's the phrase that like fans on social media will use.
Of course.
You have the opportunity right now as a player to respond to fans who criticize players who can't stay healthy. Like, what do you say?
I think that people forget that as a player, like, we're human. You know what I mean? We all, I know it may look like everybody's enjoying life. You know, I'm in Miami. I can't complain, and that's due to me being able to play soccer, and soccer has given me this opportunity. But everyone sees, like, oh, you're playing in front of stands, in front of fans. You know, you get paid thousands of dollars. Like, you're only working a few hours a day and stuff like that. But like, all of us work for that. And all of us, we do this because it's what we enjoy. It's what we love to do. And often, don't get me wrong, I know people who have terrible eating habits or whatever habits, but like, nobody wants to get injured. I imagine, I don't know Paul Pogba at all, but like, I imagine he's going through a lot. I imagine more than anything, all he wants to do is to sit there and to play. And see him going on social media, him going out in public and having people talk to him and be like, oh, you're still injured? Like, why are you injured? Like, why do you keep getting injured? Like, get out of our club, like, blah, blah, what? You think he's choosing to be injured? Like, you know what I mean? It's things like that. I'll never forget, there was one story I have where a fan came up to me and sat next to me. He was like, I bet you, I was eating at a restaurant, literally just by myself. And he came up to me, he was like, oh, you're Daryl Dike? I was like, yeah. He was like, hey, can I have a picture? I was like, yeah, absolutely. You know, like, being friendly, and he was like, man, I bet you're living the life. He was like, you know, you're sitting here, you know, like on vacation, you know, you haven't had to play, and you're still collecting your money. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, thanks, dude. I was like, you asked me for a picture like 5 seconds ago, like, you know what I mean? Like, and he's sitting there like acting like, you know, like, I'm happy about the situation I'm in. I'm like, no, like, I want to be playing. And it's like, I think that's the thing, is people forget that a lot of us, that's our passion. It's what we've worked our entire lives for. So when it's taken away from us, it hurts. Especially when you have people telling you, like you're choosing it, like it's your fault, like you're choosing to be suffering.
Because who would want to be injured?
No, exactly.
It's the true definition of just like money can't buy happiness, right? Like you're making all that, you're making a decent wage, but like, bro, like you're not playing the thing that brought you there in the first place. So like, what is the point? What is money like? And you're there all season. It's not like you could go and spend exorbitantly, go travel and do these things. You're still in there with the team every day. You're going to rehab every day. You're arguably longer in the you're training longer when you're hurt than when you're not hurt. Like you're there at 10 a.m. and you're not leaving till 4. Your teammates already left at 2. Yeah. So it's like, you're trying to put in that work to come back. So you're probably putting in way more work than you do when you're fit, right? So it makes it even harder because it's like you're going to training every day knowing that weekend you're not playing in the game. Yeah. And like I think that's the toughest thing ever. Just knowing that the weekend's coming up, you're like, I'm not in the 18. Wow, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think this is just like, I don't know, this is turning wheels in my brain because it's highlighting like a disconnect. Because in reality, like a lot of people don't have the privilege or the opportunity, or some people don't have the drive, whatever it may be, to like make a career out of something that they genuinely love. And so a lot of times the perception of like fans or those people is like, oh, you get to take a break from work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, they hate what they do. They get up and they go to work and they don't enjoy it. So there's just a disconnect between people who, you know, haven't had the opportunity to like fully indulge themselves in something that they love, and athletes who their work happens to be something that they're also passionate about. So this conversation is important because for some people it may just be like literally a lack of like understanding or empathy, and disconnect in that sense.
Yeah, and that's true because I mean even between us, like I play because I love it. I love to play. It makes me happy. Obviously, don't get me wrong, like everyone wants to make money, but I play because I'm happy. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that I know that I've played with, I still play with, that you wouldn't even expect it. Someone that they're like, listen, I'm just here to earn my money. I don't care. Like, I do not care.
Which is fair too.
Which is fair. Like, listen, like it's fair. But like, some people are like, oh, you're just there because of passion, blah, blah, which I like to think I am.
Yeah.
But for some people, it is their job. Yeah. Like, I don't like to consider it a job, like it is. Yeah. But like, you know, there's some people, it's like, bro, listen, I just want to come in here, get paid, go home, see my family, see my kids. Yeah. I don't care about this. I don't want to, you know, which is like, it's the truth. It is the truth. Like some people, which fans will hate it, people will hate it, but like some people, it's still a job. It's still working to them.
Do fans have a right to hate that?
No. What, am I going to hate on someone for not liking for going to work? If you're an accountant, am I going to go hate on you because you're going to work and doing your job? You know what I mean? Am I going to sit there while you're like, let's say you're doing your job poorly? Am I going to sit there and be like, you're doing your job terribly? You know what I mean? Like I ain't going to sit there and, you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and start tweeting on Twitter about how you suck at accounting. You know what I mean? Like, but like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think fans have the right to hate on people because I mean it is what it is. That's not what that's not your drive to, you know, go and, you know, play soccer or whatever for, you know, just fun reasons. If you want to go and provide for your family or provide, I mean, there's guys you look at like Mane or something like that going and playing, like he probably enjoys it, but he also is providing for so many people, doing so many things for his country that like I imagine he wants to play, but I also imagine like he's doing it because like, you know, I can help so many people. I can, you know, make a living for myself, for my family, for doing all these things and stuff like that. Like, everyone's got different motives, and I ain't gonna knock you as long as you, like, you know, you're doing your thing. At the end of the day, he's still going out and performing. You're still doing your job.
And speaking of that, speaking about money and, you know, passion to play and the comparison between the two, I want to hear your thoughts on this Saudi money coming in and the crazy, crazy bags they're giving players. And now we're seeing guys like even Bernardo Silva just won the treble, clearly in his prime, allegedly going over. Just want to see your views, your little analyst moment on that.
Yeah, bro, it's kind of crazy because I'm not gonna lie, like, no, but the thing
I mean,
is,
yo,
like,
what if Al Nassr got 100 mil tomorrow? What's going on?
But see, like, it's hard because, like, obviously in my head, I'm like, no, like, I don't want to go there more because it's like I want to, you know, play in Champions League. I want to do this. And I feel like if you go there, you don't. But that also being said, like, some of these people are like, why would you go there? Blah blah blah. Bruh, like. 50 million, 100 million a year, whatever some of these people, bro, that's a lot of money.
It's crazy.
Like, that is crazy money to, like, pass up. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if someone came and told you, like, oh yeah, you get to still play soccer and you're gonna get paid like 100 million or whatever these people are getting paid, like, you know what I mean? Like, some people are going to bite at it.
Bro. Yeah, I would say, ask the average person, would they switch jobs to triple their salary? right? You
But
know
you're
what I
talking
mean?
about triple.
But then they're
More
getting
than
mad.
triple,
No,
bro.
but then they're getting mad at people who might want to take $400 million a year. Like, I mean, he might do it. You know what I'm saying?
The only thing I'm concerned about with the Saudi league is we've seen that with China, right? When all the players were going to China. And obviously it's a little bit different with Saudi money because it's oil, so it's more long term. I feel like in China, it's because the housing market crashed.
Yeah.
So Evergrande lost all the money, so that's kind of why the league fell apart. But for me, it's more so of what does that do for Saudi Arabia, like their nation? Like, do they care about player development, youth development? Like, you're bringing in all these guys to, bring eyes to the game. But long term, like, do you care about youth development and selling players and reaching a next level that really will transcend their game to the next level, right? Like, you see with the U.S., like, we have a team, we're producing players. I'm not saying we're the best example, but I'm just saying, like, we were a country that's probably, like, a couple of years ago, or like there was a point where like the U.S. like we were kind of struggling, a little bit at one point when Christian was a little bit younger. We didn't qualify for the World Cup, and we're seeing like the fruits of our labor of the development in the U.S. and how much has changed. But for Saudi, it's just like, how do they plan on having their own youth development? What's their scheme? Like, what's their long-term vision? Like, that's what I'm worried about mostly. It's like, I'm not worried about the players getting bread. Like, at the end of the day, man, get your bread, bro. Your career's so short. If you want to do that, go and do that. But for long-term, for Saudi, how does this benefit them becoming a better national team? How does that benefit their country producing better players? It really doesn't.
I'd hope they'd use some of this pretty much unlimited funding to fund those youth development programs, fund amazing coaches to come through for all ages, so.
It also means that more kids in Saudi Arabia become more interested in soccer.
It's like MLS when we signed.
I think it's a little kickstart. I think it's like a little kickstart for the league. Because I mean, like what? Now you're sitting there, you're watching Karim Benzema, Ballon d'Or winner. You're able to go to a game. Like there's people who probably weren't able to go watch Karim Benzema play in their entire life. And N'Golo Kante. And now he can play in your backyard. Not your backyard, but like, you know what I mean? Like he's playing right there, and you can go to the games, and that will just grow the sport and more people getting involved. More. So imagine, I've never watched. I don't think I've ever watched a Saudi game until I saw Ronaldo was playing.
Exactly.
And I was like, all right, like let's turn it on. I'm not the only one. There's tons of people. I imagine they're getting tons of viewers, tons of exposure, tons of different things that will help the league grow, but I imagine also help the country grow a little bit, give more money into the country and things like that, which will help them out big time.
100%. One of the biggest reasons, or the biggest reason why we're here, obviously, is for the Half and 8 event and everything that's going on this weekend. In terms of fashion, what's your position in terms of fashion? Is that something like more like Austin, that you're kind of just like you just put on something and go, or are you more like what's the word, intentional about what you wear?
I think I'm like in between Zach and Austin. I think I'm pretty in between, because like whereas before, not knocking North Face or Sperry's, but whereas a few years ago I'm pulling up in North Face and Sperry's to go out or things like that. I've changed a little bit now. I kind of care, and I care a little bit more about my appearance and things like that and what I'm wearing. I enjoy to see. I respect when I see people wearing outfits like, oh, you guys are all wearing great things, and when I see stuff like that and I'm like, ooh, like, I wish I could do that. Like I could do that, and then I try and experiment. Like I even have I have a personal shopper who will help me and stuff like that in England. So she helps me out with a lot of things, getting me deals. I have guys like Raheem being like, yo, like check this brand out, like do this. You know what I mean?
I see the honor, the gift.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I'm saying? Russell Westbrook's brand. I'll be wearing that shit
exactly.
too, bro. Yeah, stuff from LA.
But sorry, my bad. But yeah, and that's like something I've been big into part of now, and I'd love to grow it because I love shoes as well. Like I'm a big shoe person. Love to like sit there and just. The thing is, I don't even have that many shoes. I just love to like look at them and be like, those are nice. I sit there and save them in my notes as if I'm gonna get them.
Take a little trip to Selfridges, see what they got, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, when we went to Birmingham, he took me to a whole new shopping experience. He was like, yo, first day I got in, he's like, yo, we going to Selfridges. So like we in Birmingham, go to Selfridges, like he got a personal shopper, so shout out her, shout out Wawina, like she be hooking him up. And like they take us to like this back area, like it's like a mirror. And like you push the mirror open and it's like, you could see like, yo, it was crazy, bro. Like, yo, so like you push, you put, yo, so like it says personal shopper. You like Daryl's like, yo, let me take you inside. So I go in there and it's like 3 beautiful British women and they're like, oh, can I get you something to drink, some water, some beer, some anything. Like, and I'm like, yo, I get to try on clothes, get any drink I want. I'm like, yo, gang, this is what it's about, man.
But no, it's tough.
we can't close a 5ASIDE episode without talking about music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm
like
big
we
music
asked
boy.
earlier, like this question goes for both of y'all, but like what y'all listening to? What gets you hyped for game day? What's in your earwaves?
Yeah, obviously, like, I mean, Gunna just came out with an album.
Yes, sir.
Big Gunna fan.
Facts.
So,
Say it proud. It's okay.
Big Gunna fan. I don't condone what he's done or whatever, but like,
You had to throw the hands
I
up.
don't condone what he's done, but like, big Gunna fan. Obviously, Doug just came out with something as well.
Yeah.
Once again, don't condone.
It's the music. It's separate.
Yeah,
It's
it's
separate.
a little separation, but you know, things like that. Obviously, going to England, something that I've actually gotten to like, you know, more into is Afrobeats. Which is surprising, despite being like Nigerian. I never actually grew up like listening to Afrobeats too much, but now I love Afrobeats so much, you know. And I think that's one thing that since leaving America, actually, I feel like I've embraced like African culture a lot more than I did when I was in America. And yeah, Afrobeats is something I just love. I love Afrobeats as well. Nice little vibe.
Facts. Especially in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean,
Burna Boy before Champions League, bro.
Crazy.
Since when did Champions League have not halftime shows, but like shows like NFL, bro?
they put a Thierry Henry in the chain. Put him on that chain. Come on now. Icy.
Yeah. Like Jimmy Carragher, when you sit there watching him, he did not look like he knew.
What you saying?
Me, for music-wise, bro. Okay, so obviously I'm from Toronto, so you know I'm running to Drake. But also I like Kodak. 'Cause I live in Florida too, so you know, shout out Kodak. I really enjoy there's this artist Boston Richie. I mean, he snitched, but that's none of my business. But he got that's none of my business. Yeah, he ain't snitch on me though. He ain't do nothing to me. I mean, we gonna hear a lot of. I also like not even that, but like I like mixes like, you know, like the Georgia Smith, the Pink Pantheress, you know, that kind of vibe. K Tremine, like we gonna have, you know, tomorrow the after party. We gonna have a little bit of everything for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So for me, and also being Jamaican, man, dancehall music's crazy. So I mean, I listen to a lot of, you know, Skilly, vibes, like, you know, just a mix of everything, you know, and just having all those cultures, because I'm Canadian, I'm Jamaican, I'm American, so it's a little bit of rap, a little bit of Afro beats myself with the culture, a little bit of just everything, man. So I got a good mix. I like to stay in the loop when it comes to music, for sure.
Man, we appreciate y'all so much for tuning in with us. We appreciate y'all for being here with us. And yeah, what you got? Go ahead for sure.
What is your like biggest dream for what you and Daryl can achieve together?
Bro, like, honestly, when it comes to Daryl, when it comes to a lot of the guys, like, honestly, my biggest inspiration is Rich Paul. Like, just seeing him, like, I don't have a similar background to him because like, I never met LeBron in the airport, right? But at this,
Not yet.
Yeah. But like, it's one of those things where like I've literally known these guys since I'm like, it's either I've known them since 12 or I've known them since like 16, 17. So just develop their career and see the progress they've made on the field. It's just been a dream of mine, just seeing that and witnessing that, because I never made it to that level. So for me to be able to go to these stadiums, watch them play, honestly, it's a really emotional experience. And me like seeing that, just kind of growing that into like a business relationship, doing cool creative things. Like I tell Daryl all the time, creative studios, putting young creatives on and doing more media, doing more podcasts, doing more, you know, short films, movies, having them invest in things like that, content creation. And that's really the future, I think, in general, just social media content creation. People literally live through you, bro. People live through you guys. People will never know this experience to interview Daryl. Like, some people would probably have the dream to do that. And I really want to just keep on creating that connection between fashion, social media, modern culture, and the athlete, and most importantly, how could you profit off of that? How can we make this profitable and live off of that? And I think that's the biggest thing that
bring those brands through next year.
Yeah, I'm thinking honestly, that's
Ciroc, Diddy was good.
Listen. Like the biggest thing for me is like, how could we turn our passion into profit? Like, right? So at the end of the day, we have these dreams. We want to do so many things, but at the end of the day, I feel like the factor always is what? Money, right?
Yes.
And I feel like if we all work together, develop each other, collaborate, there's eventually people whoever's watching this right now, like listen, like there's some talented people in this room, not only just as an athlete but as people, and it's like just getting the opportunity to invest in people's ideas, man. Like I invested to bring you guys here to Miami, you know what I'm saying, to connect with these guys and meet with them in person and really make these interpersonal relationships. Because at the end of the day, like this is what's gonna be growing, and this is what people are gonna look down the line and be like, yo, you guys changed what football is in the U.S. and you guys made it profitable and you guys made an empire through it.
I think the biggest thing to take away from all of this is like we have one common interest, we have one common passion, but we all occupy different spaces within it. But the best thing to do is always just link up. Shane also for pulling up. I met Shane at MLS All-Star. Yeah, you gonna have to, but met Shane at All-Stars, and now it's helping us filming this pod now. So it's all about using the spaces we occupy within the beautiful game, linking them together and making beautiful things happen. So, yeah, man, again, we appreciate y'all so much for being here with us, for talking to us, for tapping in, man, and everybody for tuning in, for watching, for listening. 5ASIDE in Miami. And we going to keep moving. We going to keep traveling. We going to keep doing so much more, man. A lot going on.
You know what I'm saying? A lot.
Yes, sir.
Even more athletes, even more creatives. Once again, shout out the foundation, RC Foundation, for really just giving us the funding, because we talk about us working together, collaborating. Shout out the local people who are here locally who don't even have that much money, but they see what we're trying to do and they're like, yo, we're willing to make this happen. So I really got to shout out, Aerotrax, RC Foundation for giving us the funding to even make this possible, right? And yeah, we're gonna have some fun for sure.
We're gonna have some fun for sure, man.
Show tomorrow as well, so stay tuned.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. 5ASIDE Podcast, Miami.
Like Hope said, nobody wins when the family feuds. It's a link up.
Yeah,
we out.
Peace.
Peace.